Sophie, welcome to the back end of a bookshop in North London.
Lovely.
So for anyone new to the series Detectorists, can you tell us something about what it's about?
It's about two friends who belong to a metal detectorist group, and it's about them really and the group, and metal detecting is almost by the by in a funny old way, although profoundly part of it in another funny old way, because it's a curious and wonderful confection of the extraordinary and the ordinary, and that's where I think Mackenzie has hit a beautiful seam, as it were. As if he was metal detecting, I think, he's obviously not stumbled upon a beautiful thing, he's absolutely fashioned it himself, and it's a wonderful thing to be a part of. It's very gentle, and the comedy hopefully unfolds because of the characters and the very gentle and extraordinary stories they are involved in, and just the way they chat and sit under trees in beautiful countryside chatting about
Not a bad way
nothing really.
To spend a summer's filming then in that kind of situation.
It's a lovely, lovely thing to be a part of, because it is so original, and I love Sheila, the character I play. She's got quite a lot in her pockets, so as the name would suggest, that you have to dig to find treasure. There's something about all the characters that if you dig a bit deeper, there's something in them all that is rather treasurable, if that's a word.
And your character in the piece is what's your role in that?
Well, my character Sheila, who is a bit fantastically sort of insane, I think, in a good way. She's married to the guy who runs the group. So that's where she comes in.
And of course, you're working alongside Mackenzie Crook, who wrote it, who is acting alongside you and directing it at the same time. How is it being under that kind of umbrella? That's quite a lot to work with.
Yeah, I don't know how he does that, but he just does it in that really subtle Mackenzie Crook way. It just sort of happens, and he'll sidle up to you and say something quietly, and give you some guidance. But I think that the characters are so beautifully drawn that he kind of also leaves us all to it. And then he'll get in there when he needs to, and obviously he's got to, as you say, play his role. So I don't know really how that works. I don't think I could manage that. I'm a bit too shallow.
And so you come from quite a family of actors.
Yeah.
Was that how you were drawn into becoming an actor, or were there other influences upon you?
It's so hard to tell, isn't it? I sort of pretended I didn't want to be one for a bit because I thought, it just sounds silly. But I think if it's what your mum and dad are involved with, it doesn't seem like a faraway world. It seems a plausible thing to actually do. So I spent a lot of time in theatres, and that's what I grew up with, really. And I loved that. And I found that they were places where I felt connected. I was quite a shy child, and weirdly, well, not weirdly, actually, really normally, there's a lot back to sort of a awkward personalities, really. I found that world was the one where I could, I suppose, and I breathed the easiest, I suppose.
You could express yourself perhaps more freely through other characters as they evolve.
Exactly. I kind of wanted to disappear, which sounds a bit sad, which of course you don't disappear, but very much the contrary in a weird way, but that you could inhabit somebody else.
So were you born and raised in London? Yorkshire obviously sounds like a foreign land to you.
Yes.
So are you London centric, as it were? Where were you
I was
raised?
born in North London, yeah. But I'm half Scottish, and we've got a home, always had a home in Scotland through my mum's side of the family. So I feel very Scottish as well. So I have had wild landscape in my life as well. Very luckily, I have both those elements. They're very much I'm very much a city girl, I think, but that's easy to say when you have an alternative, which I have always had.
But so a lot of your childhood then was, let's say, based in London. So what were your cultural highlights of your youth? What were the things that stand out as helping to form who you are today? You know, the music or the film or the theatre or...
I think it must be the theatre and spending time in dressing rooms with my mum and being in auditoriums watching my dad direct and watching wonderful actors in plays from when I was very little. People like Michael Gambon and Felicity Kendall, and I'm thinking of all the people who was in a production that my dad did of the Norman Conquest. Actually, he did all the Alan Ayckbourns in town, and when I was of a very certain age, I must have been about 6 or 7, I suppose. And so I was really struck by this wonderful company of actors, Penelope Keith.
That was an extraordinary trilogy. I know I've seen the play and watched it again and again. It's fabulous, yes.
And then I'd spend a lot of time in dressing rooms with my mum, who was a right old mess. And I'd have love, like tidying up and then listening, our dressing table, and listening to her going out and doing her thing and then coming back in. And I just felt at home there. And I suppose that was a very abiding influence on me.
Well, I do know that this summer at least you will be working with Mackenzie in the new series of Detectorists. And thank you so much for joining us today to talk about it all.
It's been lovely.
You're too kind. Take care. Thank you.